here, Headmere Twilight.
I am not Twilight. I am merely the messenger. You all must hurry. The Tree of Harmony needs you.
Following the destruction of the tree and elements of harmony, the tree calls upon the Student 6 to execute a vague task. They interpret this as a way to memorialize the tree, however, it seems they have their own interpretations of how to keep the tree in their memories and keep its legacy alive. Welcome back to At the Screening. I'm the voice of reason.
And I'm Thespio, and we continue the final season of Friendship is Magic with Uprooted, an episode which is basically another revamp of a previous episode, but still manages to be harmless and overall average. When you watch it and break it down full circle, one could make connections to the Season 5 episode Castle Sweet Castle, where the characters try to redesign and immortalize a central location or object after the previous one was destroyed. Back then, it was the main six trying to make Twilight's new castle feel more like home to her. This time, it's the Student Six trying to find ways to respectfully memorialize the now shattered Tree of Harmony.
Yeah, everyone and their mother, including myself, have made comparisons to Castle Sweet Castle, and depending on which side of the coin it lands on, you're either going to like it or not like it as much. I'm unfortunately on the side that doesn't like it as much. It's precisely because I have trouble separating it from the Season 5 episode. Like I mentioned in the best and worst video for Season 8, I sensed a pattern that certain episodes were retreads of prior episodes, but done slightly to a lot worse. In Uprooted's defense, it doesn't have that problem of retreading. The problem, at least for me, is not being able to separate the two episodes because the plots are so similar, right down to the episode number, as Castle Sweet Castle and Uprooted are both the third episodes of their respected seasons.
Yeah, I'm not much for retreads either, as I stated in last week's discussion of the premiere, but I'm actually willing to make an exception in this case. The main reason being that this is still a relatively new cast of characters that we haven't known as long as the main six, so there's still room for their friendship to grow even outside of their graduation of sorts. It's still relatively fresh faces in this show. This is basically their season 2 in a way. They've had at least one season to establish themselves, and I feel like now this is the time where they can properly start to grow. And I can also give them a little bit more leeway as they're still young. That being said, however, there is one aspect that I will agree is a retread, which is failure to properly discuss their plan to make sure everyone was on the same page.
You wanna like when friends not argue. Maybe friends listen to each other and make plan together?
Now, Uprooted, I feel, did this aspect a bit worse than Castle Sweet Castle. While the main six were simply victims of misinterpretation, at least Yona wanted to encourage a healthy discussion to come up with a game plan, but everyone just straight up ignores her because the story says so. And while that is underhanded that the students completely disregard her input up until the third act, I'm still willing to give it a pass as, like I've said before, they're young, and there's still room for them to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, I guess I can see that.
Granted, this kind of thing does make for another avoidable conflict for there to even be a story, but I digress.
Yeah, I'll give that to Uprooted over Castle Sweet Castle. Plus, I will say the song number, The Place Where We Belong, is a lot sweeter than Make This Castle
I agree.
a Home.
I like this song
But
better.
going back to what you said about the input, at least everyone's goal was on memorializing the tree and how they wish to keep its memory alive for all. Heck, as much as I think Gallus' methods were a bit flim and flam-ish, he did want to bring attention to everyone in Equestria that the tree had a lot of meaning. So again, like Castle Sweet Castle, everyone had the best intentions, but communication was on the back burner and nearly forgotten.
Yeah, and plus two, if I may add, every idea that the students had, each of them were still in character for them. While watching this, I never once felt like their ideas were too far out of left field or outlandish in any way. Though I will agree Gallus' idea was a little exaggerated, but maybe he's just sticking with his Griffin culture and trying to make some bits on the side, who knows. But again, each idea did have their own merits in the end. We had Ocellus making a meditation area in honor of the elements, which can be seen as callbacks to her traditions in Hearthswarming Club. Smolder wanted to make a statue in memoriam of the tree. Silverstream was painting several mosaic pieces based on the emotions that the tree made everyone feel, and as naive as it was, even Sandbar wanted to plant a new tree in its place as an act of conservation. Each idea was a good idea, but again, proper communication was lost between everyone.
You can see why I love and hate Pony Point of View.
Yes, exactly like Pony Point of View. But again, at no point did I feel like anyone had selfish intentions in any way, shape, or form. Everyone's heart was in the right place, and it was all for a good cause, not just for themselves, but for the rest of Equestria. And that's why I actually prefer this episode over Castle Sweet Castle, so I'm gonna give Uprooted a hooves up. Very sweet, all around harmless, if not just a tad predictable, but not in a bad way.
Well, I can see that, but I still prefer Castle Sweet Castle to this one. But just by a hair. I mentioned before with Uprooted being almost note for note, copy-paste, but with different characters. However, I feel a lot more heart was put into the tree chandelier compared to what the Student 6 end up creating to keep the memories and legacy alive. Crud, they even have the theme of memories in it too. Now you see why I have such a struggle separating the two. So I am giving Uprooted technically a hooves down, but I can't bring myself to thoroughly dislike it. There were some elements, like the song, and the Student 6's intentions that bring it up a notch. So, who knows, I might change it to hooves up by the end of the series.
So, just making sure, it's more of a hooves down for you solely because of the similar formula, but overall you don't think it's terrible.
Well, let me put it like this. Out of the later season retreads, this is not non-compete clause.
Yeah, and the less we talk about that grown fest, the better. Well, thanks for joining us for this week's At the Screening. Now, before we close out, I just want to announce I'll be absent for next week's installment talking about Twilight 7, which is the 200th episode, as I will be at BabsCon in San Francisco when it airs, so there will be someone taking my place for that review, but I'll be back afterwards to talk about the following episode, The Point of No Return.
Until then, thanks for stopping by the balcony.